On this episode of Crisis and Consequences, we delve into the tragic events that unfolded in Wichita, Kansas in 2017, where an online dispute over a video game escalated into a fatal swatting incident. Through firsthand accounts and expert insights, we'll explore the origins of swatting, its rise within gaming culture, and the devastating consequences that rippled into the real world far beyond the screen.
Welcome to Crisis and Consequences, a true crime podcast with a purpose. We dive into murder stories and the complicated humans behind them, blending storytelling, dark humor, and real conversation. Listener discretion is advised. This podcast contains dark, troubling, and explicit content.
Well, welcome back to Crisis and Consequences, everybody, the true crime podcast with a purpose. I'm Charity.
I'm KB.
I'm forgetting how to talk. Well, this happened yesterday, too, in a meeting. I'd been up since 2 o'clock in the morning, not the afternoon. That'd be nice. And I'm in a meeting with some board members, and I just could not all of a sudden operate. I'm like, I think it's time to put a fork in me. I am done. Any crises you're dealing with?
Probably that would be one of them. I feel like, at times, like it just goes in waves. Some of it's stress, some of it's just, being
overload.
Tired, whatever, could be hormones. You name it. It's like, but yeah, it does not, sometimes my brain just does not compute.
It's just like, it's like,
these days
hits
where
a
you're
wall.
Like, I'm like, why are you not working?
Yeah.
What's my name? What's my name?
Reboot. I know. We need a reboot button.
That's right.
This isn't working. It's not working. I think mine for right now is, so I have a young adult son, 24 years old, and
he's great.
I mean, you know him.
Yes,
he's an amazing human being. He's never, ever, he's in graduate school, never asked us for money ever, like ever.
Yeah.
And so one day, because he's still linked to my bank accounts, or I'm linked to his, if you will, when I go into my banking app, I see his stuff, and I saw a balance that was uncomfortably low for mom. Mm-hmm. Mine was way lower than that when I was in college, but uncomfortably.
Yeah.
And so when I was talking to him, I said, hey, what's going on? And he goes, no, it's not as bad as it looks. I had this gig during spring break, so I had to buy like airfare and all the stuff to get there. He goes, so I'll get reimbursed and all the things will be fine. And I'm like, okay. He's got it figured out. He's adulting. He's doing it well. And then I finally said, would you ask me for help if you were in a situation? And he's like, yeah. Like, do you promise? Because I'm just not convinced he would, right? Yeah. He'd suffer quietly. And he goes, yeah, I would. So that happened at midnight, Sunday night. And if I know it's him, because there's only a few people that can get through on my do not disturb hours. Yes. And of course my children are on that list. And so it goes ding, ding, which means usually it's him because he can't ever get one thought in one text message. Right. So I'm like, wakes me up and I look at it, and he'd gotten snowed in where he was playing the gig. And now he had like extra parking at the airport and all these things. And he's like, so I was wiring money at 12:30 in the morning. It was great.
You're a good mom.
I'm a good mom.
Are you ready to re-enter the workforce or find a career that actually fits? Or maybe you're an employer tired of noisy platforms that miss the mark? Try Focus, a smarter hiring tool that helps you cut through the noise and focus on what matters. Visit focus.work today. That's FOQUS.WORK.
So clearly you hadn't heard of swatting. It is not catfighting. You're going to be blown away. Like, you cannot make this crap up. I mean, we've covered some wild stories where like virtual reality like kind of bleeds into real reality, and messes with things. But this was in 2017, December 28th, so just after Christmas, 3 days in a like modest home, McCormick Street. This is Wichita, Kansas. The Finch family is settling in for a quiet Thursday evening. 28-year-old Andrew Finch, known as Andy to his family, was inside with his mom, Lisa, his sister, 2 family friends, and his 17-year-old niece, Adelina, whom he'd been raising on his own after her mother's tragic death. So, young guy raising a kid that's not his, like just a really good guy. They had no idea that at that very moment, 1,500 miles away in Los Angeles, a 25-year-old idiot named Tyler Barris was about to make a phone call that would shatter their lives forever. So this is the story of America's first fatal swatting incident. A story about how a dispute over a video game with a wager of $1.50 would lead to an innocent man's death and expose the dark underbelly of online gaming culture and force America to confront this disturbing new form of like digital age violence.
I'm sorry. Like, I feel like
Sorry.
the whole trend of like all of this underbelly of like, okay, so now gaming's in there, the whole AI thing, all of the predators, like, it's so rotten. Like, there's this whole nasty underbelly of technology.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I guess where there's good, there is evil.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, just play your game.
You
Why
can't.
you gotta take it to terrible places?
He was losing a bet and he was mad.
For $1.50?
Yeah.
Dude, candy bar isn't even $1.50 anymore.
No, I know. Okay, so first we need to understand exactly what happens with swatting. So we'll go into that and then we'll go back to what actually happened that night so that you have the full context. So let's go all the way back to the early aughts when this practice started emerging from the online gaming world. So it started in gaming and hacking communities where anonymous online users would target rivals or streamers during live broadcasts. And the goal was so that like you've got this live broadcast going and you could see armed officers, SWAT teams storm into someone's home while the cameras were rolling because they're live streaming, right? And so it was
But
entertainment.
it's a game.
Nope. It's not a game. It's a form of entertainment where they are placing fictitious calls for like serious incidents that result in the SWAT team being
The
deployed.
actual SWAT team
Yes.
going.
But it's like we're rivals. You and I are gaming. We can see each other or whatever because everything's live streaming. And meanwhile, I've got a buddy calling in a SWAT to you because I want to see the SWAT team come in behind your ass and get you and freak you out, shake you up.
Okay, so they can see. I'm sorry, I'm not a gamer. So Chad should be in on this because he's a gamer, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, so like on the screen, like if we were having like a meeting, so they can see each other.
Yeah.
Plus the game.
Kicking in the door with the big thing.
Wow.
Yeah. That's one thing I've never been able to do. Like, I always think if I go on a ride along with the PD, like, I
Would
want
I
to
like
bust
kick
in a
the
door. And they won't let me.
Have you ever tried kicking in a door?
No.
My husband tried doing this once. Where were we?
My dad kicked in a door, punched in a door on me once, but
No, we were.
it wasn't fun.
We were goofing around. We were camping. I think we were camping. I'm not really sure where we were. Anyway, Brent tried to kick in a door, did something, and
Did he break a foot?
like he went no,
Oh.
'cause so he didn't. He tried to use his shoulder, and like I don't know. He did not feel very good for a few days after that.
Smart.
And the door didn't. I don't know if the door actually went open or not. Anyway, back to your swatting.
That's
story.
embarrassing.
I'm just. It is embarrassing. Sorry, Brent.
I hope he doesn't listen.
He should have kicked it because if he would have, I mean, he used to be really good at jujitsu, so he probably could have done better with that. But
Yeah.
there may or may not have been alcohol involved.
Get it
Who knows?
together, Brent. All right. So what began as like this really kind of twisted form of entertainment is already becoming kind of commonplace.
trend.
So like, by 2008, FBI was starting to track these incidents. This is how serious they were coming. So celebrities like Justin Bieber, Ashton Kutcher, Miley Cyrus started becoming targets of this. Journalists who exposed cyber criminals like Brian Krebs, they were swatted multiple times. One attacker even arranged to have heroin delivered to Krebs' home right before the police arrived, attempting to frame him for drug charges. Like, it's just their way of getting entertained.
I cannot even.
I know. Like, who thinks of this stuff? Gamers who are probably stoned
I suppose.
and they're pissed off over $1.50.
Well, and I think that
And they're
there's
just
that
like,
detachment.
I
right?
gotta take this. I need a dopamine hit here. I'm gonna one up this person.
Yeah, it's funny.
How can I do that?
It's
I mean,
funny
it's
because
funny if
it's-
it's in a movie,
Right,
It's
but
not.
there's this detachment because of the digital age that we live in, and it's like watching
It's just
a reality
not a screen.
show.
It's not real. Yeah.
But yeah, like it is real, which is part of like the dopamine hit, right? Like, but it's not to them. Like it's, I don't know.
So swatting resulted in like massive wastes of law enforcement resources because each incident cost like in upwards of $10,000. No one had been killed though until this December 28th, 2017 incident. So to understand how Andrew Finch ended up literally in the SWAT team's crosshairs, we have to follow this like insane chain of events that began with 3 people who would never meet in person. They didn't even freaking know each other in person. So Casey Viner, 18-year-old in North College Hill, Ohio. Shane Gaskell, a 19-year-old in Wichita, Kansas. Tyler Barris, a 25-year-old serial swatter. That's a thing in L.A. So December 28th, Viner and Gaskell are playing Call of Duty World War II online. Like serious shit. Okay, they're supposed to be teammates, but they got into an argument during the match or whatever they do. The dispute was this wager that I mentioned that was worth $1.50, and the argument escalates. So 18-year-old Viner, who's not happy about losing, threatens to have 19-year-old Gaskell swatted. And this wasn't an empty threat because, again, swatting was well known in the gaming community at this time, just as normalized retaliation, essentially. And so here's where things took a turn. So when Gaskell realized what was happening, when he noticed that Tyler Barris, who went by this online handle swastika, like swastika, had started following him on Twitter, Gaskell made this decision. So he gives Barris an old address, a place where he and his family used to live before they were evicted in 2016. So according to federal prosecutors, Gaskell even taunted Barris, daring him to try it, bring it, let's go, telling him he'd be waiting, but knowing he'd already given him an old address. He's not there anymore. But Gaskell would not be waiting anywhere near that address. Instead, it's this unsuspecting Finch family who is there when this happens. So Tyler Barris was not just some random gamer. By December 2017, he was already a prolific swatter. This is not funny, but this is how he's being described. I'm sorry.
It's crazy to me.
Prolific swatter. You should not be proud of yourself. Very disturbing history. He'd been arrested in 2015 for making bomb threats to an LA TV station. Between making the Wichita call and his eventual arrest, he would admit to making false reports to emergency services in at least 17 states and Canada.
How is he not getting? Is he getting fines for this?
Not yet.
But a person should.
I would say something, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever accidentally called 911. But like I that's always been like a fear of mine. You know, where for a while there on our cell phones, like you could do certain things, like you could tap the side button a couple, like a certain amount of times, and then it would.
Or you
call
do it in your
911.
pocket, yeah.
Oh my gosh, literal like fear of mine, because I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I do, and then they come out,
yeah,
and then am I gonna get like charged?
Billed, yeah.
Because I feel like you should, if you're wasting their time, and maybe not on the first time if it's a legitimate accident,
yeah.
But if it's like you're a prolific serial swatter, dork,
Yeah.
I feel like you should. Sorry, gamers.
They're not all dorks.
I'm sure. No, there's some.
This guy is a dork.
This guy's a dork. But I feel like you should get fined, like a hefty one.
Something.
That
yeah.
way they don't keep doing this. Like it
Learn,
shouldn't be a thing.
right. You go reimburse the taxpayers
So
for
that's
your
where
wasted,
like the system's broken, in my opinion.
or double the wasted resources.
Something.
Hey, so he targeted high schools.
Oh, nice.
Universities, malls, government buildings. He made bomb threats that forced evacuations of like a big convention center in Dallas during a major gaming event. He called in false reports to the FBI headquarters and the federal community. This guy is ballsy.
That's what I'm saying.
Because
like, I would never.
He's detached from reality, right? This is all whatever.
Well, and he's not getting in trouble, clearly.
And he's super sophisticated, too. He would use VoIP technology through like free library Wi-Fi to mask his location. He spoofed phone numbers to make his calls appear local. I mean, the same thing that scam artists do to us all the time, right? He knew exactly what to say to trigger a maximum police response. Like he was pretty calculated and sophisticated in executing these swatting calls. Now, back to December 28th, when Casey Viner contacted him with Shane's supposed address, Barris went to work doing what he does best. At approximately 6:20 Central Time p.m., Barris made the call. Because he used VoIP, the call was initially routed through Wichita City Hall before being transferred to 911. So to the dispatcher, it did appear to be coming from the Wichita area. Barris, calling himself Brian, told this horrific story. He claimed he was at 1033 West McCormick Street. He said he just shot his father in the head. He claimed he was holding his mother and young brother at gunpoint in a closet. He said he'd poured gasoline through the house and was thinking about setting it on fire. He even mentioned the possibility of taking his own life. But it was all a lie. So the dispatcher, though, had no way of knowing that. Of course, they have to respond, right? So at 6:24, Wichita PD arrive at this location. This wasn't a SWAT team. These were regular patrol officers who were not trained for tactical situations or hostage rescues. They'd been told they were responding to a murder, hostage situation, a suicidal gunman, and potential arson in progress. Among the responding officers was Justin Rapp, positioned across the street with a rifle. He'd been on this special response team for 3 years and was certified to use his rifle from distances up to 50 yards. He'd been in position for only about 40 seconds when the front door opened. Inside the house, Lisa Finch had seen all these police lights like flooding up on her, like through her living room window. She opens the front door to see what's going on, and her son Andrew, confused and curious, like steps out onto the front porch. What happened next would be heavily disputed in the years to follow of litigation that ensued. According to the police report, officers immediately began shouting commands at Andrew, yelling different orders, like from different, they're not trained in this. So it's super chaotic, super confusing. He raises his hands according to police testimony. Then he lowers them, like he didn't fully lower them. I mean, it's just, he doesn't know what the hell's going on. He's getting shouted out from every direction. Officer Rapp would initially tell detectives that he thought Finch had a gun. Later in because that's what they're expecting to see based on the call, right?
Like the picture that they were painted, that's where their brain is at.
Absolutely. And they're going to be hypervigilant. Yeah. That's their training.
Yeah.
So, Finch didn't do anything wrong, but someone's anyway. So in later testimony, he would say he didn't see the weapon, but he shot based on Finch's hand motions, believing that he was about to fire on other officers. He thought he was protecting his colleagues. So it was 10 seconds long, this whole incident. My husband talks about that in the shooting that he was involved in, that the whole thing was over in like 3 seconds, including him being unconscious and coming back and like all the things. But 10 seconds, that's how long Andrew Finch stood on his front porch before this officer fired a single fatal shot from his rifle.
And how old was he?
I think he was 28, if I recall. Bullet struck him in the chest, pierced his heart and his right lung. He's rushed to a nearby hospital, pronounced dead 17 minutes after being shot. Lisa, his mom, would later describe hearing her son scream and then the gunshot. She said that shortly after that, police ordered the family out of the house, ordering them to exit with their hands up like criminals while her son lay dying. I mean, you're like at gunpoint and you want to rush to your son's aid.
You're sitting there watching your favorite TV show, enjoying, maybe dinner or what, who knows? And then this happens.
Yeah. So Andy was 28 years old. He was the father of 2 young children, a son named Aiden and a daughter named Danica. He was passionate about art. He was trying to study to become a tattoo artist. He had custody of his niece Adelina after her mother's death, raising her as his own. He was described by everyone who knew him as caring, someone who would do anything for his family. And he had never played Call of Duty. He wasn't a gamer. He wasn't involved in online disputes or feuds. He had nothing to do with these 3 people, Tyler and Shane and Casey. He was just simply at home living his life when this happened. And someone's twisted idea of entertainment or revenge or whatever brought armed police to his door. Within hours of the shooting, police discovered that the 911 call had been a hoax. Now, if AI can be good for anything, maybe it can start to figure out how to predict these things. There was no murdered father. There were no hostages. There was no gasoline-soaked house. No weapons of any kind were found in this home. Meanwhile, in L.A., Tyler Barris is watching news coverage of what he'd done. In other conversations and direct messages with Viner and Gaskill, the 3 began discussing how to protect themselves. They talked about deleting their electronic communications. Viner performed a factory reset on his iPhone, attempting to destroy evidence of his messages with Barris and Gaskill, but it was too late. Fortunately, the FBI, the Wichita PD, and the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office were already investigating. And on December 29th, just one day after Andrew's murder, unfortunate death, I'm sorry, that was probably a little harsh. I think police were doing the best they could.
Well, in those
It was unfair
that's
to
what I'm saying,
everybody.
like, the circumstances in that situation, everyone was caught off guard.
Everybody was a victim in
And,
that.
I mean, what that call came in as and what it was described, those guys were on. I mean, that's crisis.
Absolutely.
So that's what they're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, in their defense, anyway.
But you'll be happy to know Tyler was arrested in L.A. on a fugitive warrant, and it was actually for an older crime, those 2015 bomb threats. But investigators knew they had him, and they knew what he'd been involved with. And legal proceedings that followed stretched over years, involved multiple federal courts. Tyler was extradited to Kansas in January of 2018 and charged with involuntary manslaughter, which I think is perfect.
Yep.
On May 23rd of 2018, federal indictments were unsealed against all three of these men charged in connection with this incident. But prosecutors were not done with good old Tyler. As they dug into his history, they uncovered a staggering pattern, like history of criminal behavior. 46 additional charges were added, including financial fraud, the fake bomb threats made to police stations, schools, and other locations across the country. In November of 2018, he pleaded guilty to 51 federal charges in 3 separate cases in California, Kansas, and then D.C. Charges included making false reports resulting in death, cyberstalking resulting in death, making interstate threats, conspiracy, wire fraud, and all these bomb threat ridiculousness. In 2019, in March, he was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison, believed to be the longest sentence ever imposed for swatting. Under the terms of his plea agreement, he was also required to formally apologize to the Finch family and pay over $10,000 in fines and restitution. He'll face 5 years of supervised release after his prison term is served. So U.S.
He doesn't have any computer access in prison.
Right.
Like, I feel like that would be good punishment.
I think so, yeah. You should be kept away from the things that were involved in your crime, like children, money, bombs, people. Yeah, I think so. I think that's fair. U.S. Attorney Stephen McAllister didn't mince words at the sentencing. He said, quote, "Swatting is no prank. Sending police and emergency responders rushing to anyone's home based on utterly false information is some kind of joke, shows an incredible disregard for the safety of other people." So the other guys faced their own sentencing. They were dramatically lighter, though. So Viner pled guilty in April of 2019 to conspiracy and obstruction of justice. In his plea, he admitted to soliciting Barris to swat Gaskill and to destroying evidence when he realized someone had been killed. He was sentenced to 15 months in prison and 2 years of supervised release.
I mean, I hope he'll never
I
do
don't
that
know
again.
the laws, but yeah, part of his sentence included a special condition in which he was prohibited for game. Oh, yeah, there you go. From gaming for 2 years. I didn't remember this part. I did these notes a long time ago. And his cell phone was subject to inspection by the U.S. Probation Office.
Good.
So, and then Shane, he pled guilty to wire fraud. He wasn't sentenced until, for like the $1.50 probably. He wasn't sentenced until September of 22, nearly 5 years after the incident. And he got 18 months in prison. Federal prosecutors had acknowledged, like, his role, that he'd been a victim of the intended swatting, but his decision to give out the false address and taunt Barris
Right.
made him culpable in what happened.
Well, you guys, I mean, that's my thing. I'm like, there's consequences.
Crisis and
your-
consequences.
Your old address, someone else lives there. Like, hello.
Yeah.
But okay, it doesn't involve you, so you don't care.
Nope.
I mean,
It's just like, hey, I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is where I'm like, it is so important for people to understand that every action you do, there's consequences.
No, I know online some people were really calling for charges to be filed against the officer that delivered that fatal shot. He was never charged with a crime. The Sedgwick County District Attorney declined to file these charges because from a legal standpoint, they would have to prove that his use of deadly force wasn't reasonable given what he believed was happening, right? He thought he was responding to a murder and hostage situation.
Yep.
So, but the Finch family was not willing to let it end there. November of 2019, Andrew's estate and his mother Lisa filed a federal lawsuit seeking $25 million in damages from Officer Rapp and the city of Wichita. Lawsuit claimed that Finch was unarmed. He was not holding anything that could be deemed a weapon. He did not make any threatening gestures. It alleged excessive force and a broader pattern of violence within Wichita Police Department. City fought back. They sought to have the case dismissed. They argued that Officer Rapp had qualified immunity. And in July of 2022, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit issued a really crucial ruling. The lawsuit against Officer Rapp could actually proceed. The appeals court found that Rapp was not entitled to have qualified immunity because a reasonable officer in his position should have known that using deadly force against an unarmed man who posed no threat violated the Fourth Amendment. So this goes on for a while. The court actually dismisses the claims against the city of Wichita itself, finds that the family hadn't proven any deliberately indifferent policies that caused Rapp to use excessive force, so the city was off the hook. But in March of 23, more than 5 years after Andrew died, the city of Wichita approved a $5 million settlement to resolve the case. Although the city had been dismissed as a defendant, it was still liable for Rapp's legal expenses because he was a police officer. Mm-hmm. City paid $2 million directly, with the remaining $3 million coming from its insurance company. At the city council meeting, only one council member voted against the settlement. Mayor Brandon Whipple expressed hope that the settlement would help the Finch family move forward, acknowledging that nothing could bring back their loved one. Andrew Stroth, the attorney who represented the Finch family, called it one of the most egregious police shootings in the country and hoped it would lead to real change in the Wichita Police Department.
I feel like that's harsh.
I feel like,
and I don't,
yeah,
wasn't there obviously, but I think considering the circumstances and the level of that call,
yeah,
like you're just on high alert, like, and I think your adrenaline's rushing, like, and I know that these guys are trained, you know, in so many different ways to try and recognize things, but something like that's got to just be so hard. And I feel like, and again, I don't know this guy, but I know that I think a lot of police officers, I mean, they're trained to protect, right? They're trying to do the right thing. And so you're sitting there and something like this happens. That's traumatic for the guy who pulled the trigger.
absolutely.
He's dealing with his own thing. I think even in circumstances where they do shoot, your husband's a police officer, so you're going to know this, but it's like where they do shoot someone, they usually have to go through some type of therapy, don't they? After
They go through debriefing. They go through like an evaluation and get that support. A lot of departments now have peer support, and so they're really like they have that person involved in a critical incident on like high watch, making sure like how are they processing things? Are there any warning signs that this is impacting them in a long-lasting way? And they really do like wrap around and support these officers.
Yeah, because I think that in an incident like this where you end up shooting an innocent man because of a faulty call that comes in,
Yeah.
you have to live with that.
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but I think that in and of itself is a lot of trauma.
That would be
So then to try
horrific.
and, I don't know, punish him even more seems unnecessary.
They're hurting, and I get it, but it's really the
wrong-
shitbags that started the
wrong
whole
one.
thing that, yeah, their anger should be directed at. But I understand it, you know.
I get it, yeah.
You know, and I will say, I didn't have that same response, like at the person who shot my husband.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. Like, I learned about his last few minutes alive and the things he said to first responders, expressing his regret for what he had done. And as they did that investigation, you know, he had been in prison before, and he wasn't going to go back. So this was really like a suicide by cop type of a situation.
Yeah.
He just knew he wasn't going back. And he expressed remorse. And I just think about like all the times in this young man's life, I mean, he's these guys' age, he was, that people knew he was struggling. He needed someone to support and parent and guide him.
Mm-hmm.
And he just didn't have that. And so like, not once did me or my husband like hate on this person or want someone to pay for
Yeah.
what happened. Like, but everybody grieves differently.
Well,
I get
and
it, you know.
I think it's just different heart postures too. I think that because of the different things that you've been through, I mean, we all have different life experiences, you know, but different things that you've been through have led you to look at things a little bit differently.
But I think when you're just in so much pain, and it was completely, these were completely innocent people. They had no idea what was, you know, going to happen to them that day. I understand wanting to hold somebody responsible.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Never fixes it and never makes it right, but I get it.
Yeah, and I think
Like when you feel powerless and you've lost control and there's horrible things happening, how can I try to regain some sense of control back over
Just
my
justice.
life? Yeah, something.
you know what I mean, something to even those scales
Yeah.
back out.
Yeah.
Because when things start tipping the wrong way and everything feels like there is no justice, which, I mean, the world is chaotic, but I just feel like, yeah, you're grasping for something
Yeah.
there.
It's tough.
Anyway.
It's tough. There are so many victims in this situation. Oh, okay. But the tragedy keeps going because this is the ripple effect, and I feel like there should be other charges on these guys after this. But the little niece he was raising, she died by suicide after this. Lisa Finch publicly blamed her granddaughter's death on the trauma from that night. And she was there. She witnessed this whole thing. And it was too much. It was just too much. And so I just feel now, you know, his kids are left without a father, all of this because of a $1.50 bet in a video game. Like, I think you should be able to go back and say, hey, guess what? This happened too. Ripple effect. Dominoes keep falling. Dudes, you're gonna be here longer.
It is immaturity and this thing of thinking that there is no consequences.
Yep.
It's just
I think we do, though. We become disconnected
Right.
Through the screen, right?
I think it's even as simple, and we've talked about this before, but like the way that people behave, even on just social media, which is far less than anything like this. But the way that people treat each other, the way that they talk about things. I mean, even when people create, you know, now we've got reels and videos. I see people on there who are crying and throwing fits over stuff that's happening in the world today and just the way that they're behaving. And I'm thinking, would you do that in a room full of physical, like if you were physically in a room with people, would you behave the way that you're behaving right now? Probably not. So why on earth are you doing it? But there's this weird distance thing where they think, I'm not really sure.
It's entertainment.
It's entertainment, but and then people do
I'm
watch it as
insulated.
entertainment. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just,
I just stick to Great Danes and animals. That's all I
hikes,
watch
sunshine.
online. I mean, if I'm watching reels, besides our own stuff,
Yes.
it's just Great Danes are the funniest thing. So anyway. But I will tell you, I won't leave it on a totally bummer note. What happened to Andrew did spark some pretty meaningful change.
Okay.
So just months after this shooting, the Kansas state legislature passed what would later become known as the Andrew T. Finch Memorial Act. And it was a new law. It made creating like a false alarm resulting in injury or death a Class 1 felony and carrying a prison sentence between 10 and 41 years. And it was signed into law in April of 2018. And at the federal level, that same bill was introduced, known as the Preventing Swatting and Protecting Our Communities Act, to the U.S. House. While the bill has yet to become a federal law, it did start to create that growing recognition that swatting needed to be treated as the serious crime it is. It's not just just pranking kind of a thing, right?
Not just a prank call.
Now there's also a swatting registry where people at risk can register their addresses and alert police to investigate before sending full SWAT teams. In June of 2023, FBI announced it would create a national database to track swatting incidents and improve information sharing among local police agencies. And organizations like the Anti-Defamation League now track swatting as a form of harassment and hate crime, particularly when it targets marginalized communities, politicians, or public figures based on their identities or viewpoints. Today, Mr. Tyler sits in Federal Correction Institution in Phoenix, Arizona. He's expected to be released on January 14th, 2035, having served nearly 18 years of his 20-year sentence when accounting for time served during the trial. He'll then face 5 more years of supervised release. Casey and Shane, they have completed their sentences and returned to their lives. And Andrew's children growing up without their father, meanwhile. But this incident showed how the anonymity of online spaces can, like, empathy's out the window, right? Just like you were talking about, there's like some kind of barrier here between cause and effect that is impacting our brains.
There is not that barrier. There are consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I won't go into a lot of details, but I wanted to see, like, okay, this was a horrible, tragic incident. Are there more? There are more.
There are more.
Mark Herring, Bethpage, Tennessee, in 2020, 60-year-old. Mark Herring died of a heart attack after being swatted. Someone, this UK-based minor, was trying to extort him to give up his Twitter handle. He had a Twitter handle at Tennessee. He wanted it, and so he tried to extort him. So Sonderman swats Herring. He was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison and fined $250,000. He also targeted at least 5 other people across the country, demanding they give up their social media handles. Like, I guess he collected them. Like, get a new hobby, dude.
This is so weird to me.
There were, like I told you about,
sounds like a sci-fi movie from like forever ago,
Isn't
where
it
it's
insane?
like this is the world that we're living in.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I are not, but some people are. Good gravy.
Ashton Kutcher received a call claiming there were individuals with guns and explosives. Police received a call at his home and that several people had been shot. Hoax. Justin Bieber, police swarmed his property after a report of guns near the property. He was on tour at the time. No one was even there. Miley Cyrus, police got a call about a possible home invasion that was false. Simon Cowell, female caller, told 911 that he was bound and gagged in the bathroom of his Beverly Hills estate. This has happened to political figures. It just
That's crazy.
goes on and on and on. So don't swat. Swat flies. Swat mosquitoes.
Yes.
Leave it at that, people. But that is the 2017 Wichita swatting incident.
That is just crazy to me.
And this one, I have no idea where it came from, like, on my radar. I'd never heard of it in the media.
Probably Chad. I'm going to blame it on Chad.
It really,
He's
poor
the
Chad.
only gamer I know.
Poor Chad. Anyway, well, any more thoughts on that one?
No, but here's yes. PSA from KB. I feel like for forever, since computers have been around and since social media has been around, like, we keep telling youth, and even grown-ups probably need to be reminded of this from time to time, but, like, what you put out there, whether it's Snapchat, social media, gaming, like, be mindful of what you're sharing and what you're putting out there and what you're saying, because I feel like whether someday it's you're applying for a job, like, when people search you online, this stuff comes up. Or, lo and behold, guess what? The FBI really does exist outside of movies and the news. And so I'm like, and they're watching stuff.
Yeah.
They are. They're looking into things. And so I'm like, be mindful. Like, your online reputation is tied to you.
Yeah.
So knock it off. Behave yourselves.
Fair.
Play a game. And just be nice.
Leave people alone.
Play a game and get over yourself.
Yeah.
Like, and if you place a bet for $1.50, like,
And you lose.
don't
Suck
be
it
a
up, Buttercup.
sorry loser.
Yeah.
Like, good grief.
No, it's pretty unreal. I am not a gamer. I just think I'm not ever going to do that, just like I won't ever be a runner.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not. I would
My
like
kids
to
game, they love it, but
I just don't. I'm not into it.
I'd rather pick up a book. I'm boring.
I am too, but I like that.
I'd rather
It's
sit in
peaceful.
the sun, read a book.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'd rather play card games, like, with people.
Yeah.
I like playing games.
I used to play, like, card games all by myself.
Yeah.
Until arthritis in the thumb. I can't deal very long and I can't shuffle at all. So those days are over and I'm still waiting out the doctors on that surgery. I will wait them out.
That's well, you should.
Because they're like, you need this particular surgery, but there's another procedure that they could do that's less invasive. And they're like, no, we only do that one as a backup if the first one doesn't work. I'm like, so you do the more invasive one with way more downtime first?
Doesn't make any sense.
Like, y'all need to correct your thinking on this. So I'm just going to wait them out until they get with the program and then
Well, that's probably
the
wise.
procedure done. So I just deal with the pain and I get pain injections and stuff. But my cart dealing days are over. So tragic. Anyway, thank you everybody for joining us for another episode of Crisis at Consequences. If you are still coming back, thank you. Question? No, I'm kidding. If today's story made you think, which I hope it did, or gasp, or like educate you on something that you really didn't know was happening, help you be more aware, please don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with someone who loves a good deep dive into the scary side of humanity.
Absolutely. And as always, don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. If you're feeling generous, drop us a 5-star review. It helps more listeners find us and supports the mission behind every story. If you have a crisis of your own or a story you'd like to share that we could explore, we would love to hear from you. So send us your ideas, any of your personal stories to hello@crisisandconsequences.com, or check out our website, connect with us on socials, or become a patron. You'll find our source materials for this episode on our website, and we will be back with a brand new story next week.
Well, stay out of trouble, everybody. We'll just report on the people who don't follow those rules. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.